Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're listening to this late at night or alone or with the lights turned low, you're exactly where you should be. Here we tell stories that don't rush, stories that sit with you quietly, stories that come from old legends, forgotten folklore, and the kind of fear that doesn't scream, it whispers. Tonight's story comes from traditional Japanese belief where silence itself can become dangerous, and some spirits are born not from violence but from words that were never spoken. So get comfortable, let your breathing slow, get cozy, uh, get some snacks, and get your blankets or stay wherever you feel comfortable. And if you're using this as a bedtime story, you don't have to stay awake until the end. So just listen, because once this story begins, it will move at its own pace. Tonight, before you close your eyes, I want to tell you an old story from Japan. Not a story that screams, not one that chases you, but a story that waits. In old villages, before electricity, before clocks ruled the night, people believed that silence itself could become haunted. That some spirits were not born from anger or violence, but from words that were never spoken. The elders used to say that if you never met a man who looks human in every way, yet hesitates before speaking, you should never encourage them. Because some mouths were never meant to open. This story is called Kuchio Akinaimono, the one who never opens his mouth. If you're listening to this in bed, let your body relax. If you're listening alone, that's how the story prepares it. So now listen carefully. Long ago, in a mountain village, hidden between cedar forests and mist, nights were treated with respect. Doors were closed early. Lanterns were kept low. People spoke softly after sunset, as if the darkness itself were listening. There was a reason for that. Near the edge of the village stood an old temple, abandoned yet maintained. No one prayed there anymore, but no one allowed it to decay. The villagers believed neglect invited attention, and attention was dangerous. Every night, just before the hour when insects fall silent, a man appeared beneath the temple eaves. He did not walk in, he did not knock, he simply stood there. Those who saw him said the same thing. He looked alive, his skin carried warmth, his eyes reflected lantern light. His shades rose and felt like someone breathing in the cold night air, but he never spoke. His lips were always slightly parted, as if caught in a moment before saying something important. At first, people assumed he was a traveler. Japan has always had wanderers. But travelers ask for water, they ask for shelter. This man asked for nothing. He only watched. A young lantern keeper was forced to approach him. His duty was to light the village's lamps before nightfall. One evening, noticing the man standing closer than usual, he gathered his courage and asked quietly, "Are you lost?" The man's eyes shifted just slightly. His lips trembled, and then nothing, no answer. The lantern keeper felt something press against his chest, not fear, but weight, as if he had interrupted something sacred. He lowered his head in apology and stepped back. That night, the insects went silent earlier than usual. Word spread slowly. People began to avoid the temple path. Children were warned not to play near it. Dogs refused to pass the gate after sunset. Cats stared at the empty air and hissed. An elder woman finally spoke. Her voice shook as he said, "That is not a ghost. That is a silence that refused to die." She explained that many years ago, there lived a man in the village who witnessed a betrayal so heavy it would have destroyed families, names, and futures. He was given a choice: speak the truth and ruin lives, or remain silent and carry it alone. He chose silence. He lived quietly after that, married, aged, died peacefully. But some truths, the elder belief, do not forgive being buried. They wait. The man began appearing closer to homes, always watching, never speaking. One night, a woman returning late felt something walking beside her. She turned and saw him. His face was close, too close. She noticed his lips part wider, just for a moment. She covered her ears and ran. The next day, she couldn't remember her husband's name. The elders gathered. They repeated the rule passed down through generations. If he speaks to you, you will carry his life. If you answer him, you will finish his death. No one wants to speak to him. No one was to acknowledge him. Silence was the only protection. But silence is difficult for humans. One winter night, a grieving man visited the temple. His child had died without explanation. He knelt in the cold and cried openly, his words spilling freely into the dark. That's when he felt something listening. He looked up. The man stood before him. For the first time, the spirit knelt too. Their faces was close. The grieving man whispered, "Do you understand this pain?" The spirit's mouth opened wider than ever before. No sound came out. Instead, memories poured in the man's mind. Screams swallowed, names erased, a truth locked away so tightly it became a prison. The man nodded. "I understand," he said. That was enough. By the morning, the spirit was gone, but the grieving man has changed. He avoided conversation. His jaw ached constantly. When he tried to speak at night, his voice caught in his throat. One evening, his lips parted just like the spirit's had, and he fell silent. Years passed, the village survived, but sometimes people notice something. Someone standing quietly near the temple. A human face, calm eyes, a mouth that hesitated. Always a little different, always familiar. The burden moved. It is said that if you ever see his face clearly, calm, human, almost gentle, You are looking at the exact moment before the silence chooses its next keeper. The face is not fear, it is acceptance. The lips are not opening to speak, they are opening to pass something on. The elders still warn, speak carefully at night. Some silence are listening. And if you ever felt words rise in your throat for no reason, if your mouth opens yet nothing comes out, do not fight it. Some stories do not want to be told, they want to be carried. So that's the episode 1, and this is the episode 2. And it is Kuchio Akinai Mono, when silence learns to choose. If you listen to the last story carefully, you might believe the curse ended when the spirit disappeared. That is what the villagers believe too. In Japanese folklore, however, silence doesn't end, it moves. Years after the man vanished from the temple, the village changed in small, almost invisible ways. People began pausing before speaking, even during the day. Conversations ended without explanation. Some words felt heavier than others, as if saying them aloud requires permission. No one spoke about it directly, they never do. The fourth sign appeared in a child. He was 7 years old, cheerful, curious, and known for asking too many questions. One evening, as his mother took him into bed, he asked, "Why does the night feel closer now?" She laughed nervously and brushed his hair aside, but the child kept staring at the corner of his room. "The man is standing there again," he whispered. "What man?" she asked. The child hesitated. "He doesn't want me to say." The night, the child stopped asking questions altogether. The elders noticed something terrifying. The spirit was no longer waiting near the temple. It was being invited, not by words, but by attention. In old Japanese belief, spirits strengthen when acknowledged indirectly, through fear, curiosity, or even sympathy. The villagers had avoided speaking to the silent man, but they had begun thinking about him, remembering him, and remembrance is a form of invitation. A traveling monk arrived one autumn evening. He stayed only briefly, but he noticed the village's unusual quiet. During dinner, he asked gently, "Has someone here forgotten how to speak?" No one answered. Later that night, the monk walked alone near the temple. He sensed a presence before he saw it, a pressure in the air like a held breath. The man stood beneath the eaves again. But something was different. His lips were no longer trembling, they were steady, as if he had learned patience. The monk vowed deeply. "You are no longer bound to one truth," the monk said calmly. "You are learning." The spirit's eyes moved. The monk understood immediately. "This silence no longer waits to be released," he whispered. "It chooses who will carry it." The monk left before dawn. He never returned. After that, people began noticing the pattern. Those who spoke carelessly, those who interrupt others, those who confess secrets late at night, they were the ones who began to feel pain in their jaw. One woman, known for telling stories, fell it first. Mid-sentence, her mouth froze open. Her eyes widened in fear, but no sound came out. She tried to scream. Nothing. From that night on, she spoke only in writing. Her notes ended abruptly, as if the words themselves refused to finish. The elders gathered again, fear replacing tradition. They realized the truth too late. The spirit no longer needed to be seen. It had learned how to live inside agitation. One night, the narrator of the story, the one you are listening to now, dreamed of a man standing at the edge of a room. His face is calm, his eyes familiar, his mouth slightly open. The man doesn't approach, he waits. The dream ends with a feeling, not an image, a warning. From then on, the village stopped telling bedtime stories to children. Silence became the lullaby. The final incident happened during a funeral. A young man stepped forward to speak about the dead. His voice shook as he began halfway through the speech. He paused, his lips parted. He felt it. A weight moving outward through his chest into his throat. The crowd watched in horror as his mouth opened wider, yet no sound came out. The silence thickened. The young man whispered, "I won't give you my life." The silence receded, just slightly. That night, the elders carved a new warning into the temple wood. Some spirits do not ask to be heard, they ask to be held. It is said that the spirit now travels, not tied to one village, not tied to one truth. It appears whenever words hesitate, where confessions pause, where mouths open and close again. And if you ever find yourself stopping mid-sentence for no reason, if your jaw tightens when you try to speak at night, if silence feels heavier than sound, do not force the words out, because the one who never opens the mouth is listening. So that's the episode 2. Now let's start the episode 3. Kuchio Kenai Mono, the silence that finally speaks. By the time people realized that silence had changed, it was already too late to name it. In old Japanese belief, spirits evolve the longer they remain unacknowledged. They set their original form, they learn, and this one had learned something terrifying. It no longer needed fear, it needed willingness. The elders noticed that the man no longer appeared to everyone, only to those who were tired of speaking, those who had stories no one wanted to hear, those who had explained themselves too many times, those who carried truths that had grown too heavy to repeat. The silence had learned how to choose the weary. A woman living alone near the forest was the first to understand this too late. She had spent her life speaking softly, apologizing for existing, swallowing words before they formed. One night, while preparing tea, she felt a familiar pressure in the room. Not cold, not fear, presence. She turned slowly. The man stood behind her, closer than ever before. His face was gentle, understanding, his lips parted, and for the first time, she wanted him to speak. She She whispered, "You can take it." The room went completely still. The spirit did not speak aloud. Instead, her memories began to leave her quietly. Arguments she never finished, questions she never asked, confessions she rehearsed in her mind. They slipped out of her like breath on a winter morning. By dawn, she was calm, too calm. When neighbors spoke to her, she smiled politely and said nothing. From the night on, the silence stopped feeling like a curse. It felt like relief. People began visiting the temple intentionally, not to see the man, but to feel lighter. They sat in the dark and let words dissolve inside them. Some left unable to speak for days. Others returned normal but emptier. The others panicked. This was no longer folklore, it was contagion. A final ritual was prepared. In old Japanese tradition, a spirit bound to silence could be released only if someone spoke everything the spirit refused to say, willingly, fully, and without interruption. The elders chose a storyteller, someone whose voice had carried others for years, someone who understood words. On the night of the ritual, the storyteller sat alone before the temple. Lanterns were extinguished. The forest listened. The man appeared closer than ever. His face now looked almost identical to the storyteller's. The resemblance was undeniable. The storyteller began to speak. He spoke of betrayals, of fear, of love withheld, of truths buried to protect peace. Each word felt like tearing something loose from the air. The man's lip trembled violently. For the first time, sound escaped him, not words, a breath. The heaviest breath the night had ever heard. The storyteller collapsed. The spirit doesn't disappear. Instead, it smiled and closes its mouth. The elders understood the horror. The silence was no longer a trap, it was complete. After that night, the man stopped appearing entirely. No sightings, no shadows, no presence. People celebrated quietly, too quietly. Something else has changed. People hesitated more, thought longer, paused mid-sentence without realizing why. It wasn't haunting them anymore, it was inside them. The storyteller never spoke again, but he began drawing faces, always the same one. Calm eyes, human skin, lips slightly parted. People said the drawings made them uncomfortable, as if they were being remembered by something they had never met. This is where the elders stopped telling the story, because what becomes next was never meant to be passed on, only noticed. If you're listening to this now and you feel this urge to stay quiet longer than usual, if words have felt unnecessarily tonight, this is not fear, it is recognition. In Japanese folklore, most dangerous spirits are not the ones that scream, they are the ones that convince you that silence is kinder. The man who never opens his mouth doesn't walk the night anymore. He lives in pauses, in hesitations, in moments when you almost speak and decided not to. If you're listening before sleep, let your thoughts fade gently. You do not need to speak anymore tonight. Some stories are finished only when they are no longer told. Good night and thank you for listening. See you in my next video. Bye bye.